It's that kitchen cutlery time again. This time I'm taking a look at a Nexus. This was a chef's knife that up until recently I've been trying to use. Comes in a very nice box. Little magnetic sealing thing, kind of like some limited edition games. And yeah, it kind of comes with a little card in the box saying, hey, we're kind of a smaller company. You got a great knife. Blah, 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 blah. We got, lifetime guarantee. Instructions, cutting storage, all that sort of good stuff. Yeah. Now this guy is big. Bigger than I needed, and that's kind of become the problem with it. This is a 9.5-inch chef's knife. And it is constructed. Let me grab my little cutting board here so I don't end up cutting up my mat. This guy is 9.5 inches, and that's just too big for almost anything that I end up needing to do. It does have a nice balance on it. It's very, very slightly blade heavy, but that generally happens with most chef's knives over 8 inches. I will say you'll see a little bit of a weirdness going on here, and that was actually me. The spine of this thing is actually kind of sharp, right around where I want to pinch the blade. And that was really upsetting me, so I kind of rounded it off with some fine diamond stones and then a ceramic just to smooth it on up. And that made it a little bit more comfortable. The other difficulty with these guys, if you don't have an enormous kitchen with gigantic cutting boards, is chef's knives over 8 inches really don't fit on a whole lot of standard cutting boards. This obviously is not a full-size cutting board, but essentially what you want is for you to, in the cutting area, so, on this one, around the groove or whatnot, and you're looking for the tip of the knife to actually fit diagonally there as well. That way you can do that. It's even better if it'll fit vertically, but at the very least diagonally, and that includes the handle. That way you have enough room to get the full motion going on there. And this guy was just proven to be too unwieldy for me. It might help a little bit more if I was cooking for more than just me, but I don't really have a family and, that sort of stuff. I got roommates, but, we don't really see eye to eye on a lot of food a lot of times. So we don't generally share a lot of stuff all that often, but yeah, whatever. So this would probably be useful for, a larger family or something like that. But it's just a little bit too large. Now I do have an enormous OXO cutting board upstairs that I purchased specifically because I didn't have a cutting board that actually fit this guy all that well. And, it's fine. It's a little slick, but that's strange. That's a cutting board. That doesn't really have anything to do with the knife. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look a little bit here. We have G10 handles on there. Fairly nice and attractive. The pens are nice and rounded. You can certainly feel they're there. They're not absolutely flush, but there's nothing that's really catching up on there. And yeah, it's got a fairly standard kind of handle affair that Hinkle's people will be pretty familiar with, being like the Pro S line. But it does have a little bit more tail going on there, which is interesting. It doesn't necessarily need to be there. Like, I got quite the large hand, but I guess if you really want to go about it, barbarian style, if you're dicing up a pork butt after you've done some barbecue or something like that, then, it would probably work all right. But yeah, I'm much more comfortable with standard pinch grip. What did kind of attract me to this guy is the fact that it's in carpenter steel, BD1N, which that's pretty good steel. Probably more or less known for being put on some Spyderco knives. I think they've done some paramilitaries. Paramilitary and Para 3 in there, and a couple others. And yeah, it's a decent enough steel. It's kind of a step up from VG10 and whatnot. It's not really particle metallurgy as far as I understand. So it's not going to be like another Carpenter Seal CTS 204P, which is their copied version of M390, which, hey, Crucible also has a copy of it as well with 20 CV. So, whatever. But yeah, it's a nice steel. Holds up a little bit more than it'll certainly hold up a lot more than a lot of standard traditional steels, being, if you got like the German Krupp steel, which is usually 1.4116, or XC or X50 CR MOV15, or all those sort of stuff. So it will hold up more than that. But because of that, and because of the way that they treat this thing, it has a Rockwell hardness on it, supposedly between I don't know, like 59 and 61, somewhere around there. That's heavier or harder than a lot of European chef's knives are. So if you really like to hack and whack or hit some bones, you're probably going to end up with a couple of chips in there, which, that's just something you got to be a little bit more used to. And a lot more companies are going that way of sharpening things sharper and making them harder, which is much more of the Japanese style knives, but that makes them more brittle. So there you go. There's kind of the thing there for you. I do have another Nexus that I absolutely adore that I picked up a little bit before this one. And I will take a look at it a little bit later. It's using the same BD1N steel and same kind of handle. Obviously, it's smaller because it's basically a 6-inch boning fillet knife. And stupid plastic. This was from a battery bank I was grinding open earlier. Whatever. Anyway, that one's fantastic. But I don't do a huge amount of filleting tasks of meat necessarily, but I do a lot of pineapple, and that does an absolutely fantastic job. And it's got just a little bit of flex in it. I really love it. This one, it's super comfortable, but it's just a little too large. And as far as I had seen, at least available, they didn't actually make an 8-inch chef knife. At least not. That didn't come in like a giant 18-piece set. And I certainly don't need a gigantic melange of knives when I only really use a couple. So there you go. There's kind of my thoughts here on this Nexus 9.5-inch chef's knife. Pretty good. Probably more well suited to those who cook for a large family or a lot of people. It's probably a little bit too large for someone just cooking for themselves on Friday night or Saturday night or whatever. I don't know. I don't really hang out with the kids, so Fridays and Saturdays are just a little more relaxing than they probably are for the younger people. That's perfectly fine. All right, well, that's kind of what I got going on here. I just recently pulled this out of my block and replaced it with the Tucson TS999, which kind of has that same shape where it's got that clip there. I do actually need to widen the chef's knife slot on that because that one's a little bit wider than your typical Hinkles will be, which is the knife block that I have for it. That, and they also, Hinkles usually has the bolster come out to the heel, and this one doesn't, so it goes in a little bit deeper. That's fine. I'll just find a keyhole saw or whatnot and take care of it. But yeah, all right, cool. Great company, a little bit large for me. All right, so as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.